Why is it so hard then? Like now we're on the topic. Why is it so hard to layer on the sales motion or effective sales motion?
I was thinking when I was at Airtel, I was thinking about this a lot, all the time. If I had to zoom like all the way out, okay, for a moment, yes, like let's just say there's, from a marketing perspective, there's a lot that has to change in sort of the channels, the marketing mix, all stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. Okay, I would say this is just, again, my opinion. I think that layering on an additional go-to-market motion, it's not about, by the way, it's not about changing from PLG to sales led. It's about figuring out how to make them work together, right? Like that's the hard thing. People think it's like, in the product marketing world, there's like self-serve PMMs, like enterprise PMMs. Like that, I don't really think about it that way. It's honestly the same journey. Like if you have a bunch of users that sign up for your product, and then eventually like you need to sell them an enterprise plan, those people are still involved. Like they should be, right? But in any case, like I think that the challenge is that it just requires more resources and it's a different focus. Like, it's kind of like, and they're really different motions. It's almost like, what's a good analogy for this? Like, let's say, like, I don't know, you have a team of swimmers, and like now they need to run. Like, some of those swimmers are probably gonna, like, let's say you have like Olympic swimmers, and then you have like Olympic track and field, and like, they're like, some of your swimmers have to now learn how to like run and race. Like, not all of them are gonna be good at that, right? So you're gonna want to bring in people who are like really good at running. But like, I don't know, like let's say there was like a relay perhaps where maybe the swimmer has to get out of the pool, or maybe the runner has to start in the pool, and then the swimmer has to come out of the pool. And then and then like there's a point where, I don't know, this, by the way, I love making analogies that are really stupid. I like test driving them. So bear with me for a moment. But I think a lot of PLG companies will take those swimmers and say, and a big chunk of the swimmers, and say, you guys are now gonna race, the 1,000 meter, 500 meter dash, or 100 meter dash, 50 meter dash. And they're like, what are you talking about, right? And then what happens is like, well, then what happens? Like, oh, well, they're doing okay. They don't really get it. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna bring people from outside who know how to run, and then they're gonna come in, and then they're gonna bring their culture into the company. They're gonna bring their friends, and all of a sudden, I really think the reason why it's so hard is not just because it's a different motion. It is a massive cultural, strategic, and resource shift that the company has to evolve through. And it's a very human problem. I hate to say this, but it is a very human problem. How do you do this without like alienating all these people who kind of got you here, as you bring in external like people who bring in a wildly different culture and end up and like it's like a meteor crashing into the planet, right? So I think like, if I was talking to a founder, I'd tell them like, you need to worry about this, because at the end of the day, like we'll figure out the motion, but you need to figure out how to layer in this aspect of the cultural shift in your company the right way. Because if you just bring in all these salespeople and bring in all these like enterprise folks, like it's a lot of risk. It's people will leave for sure, because the shift, the energy of the company is shifting, right? So if you were, for example, I think the people who get hurt a lot in this transition are growth PMs, or PMM, or like self-serve PMMs that effectively they're doing growth. I think like the growth role, I don't know, this could be like another law of like like SaaS dynamics. I think like the growth team is either going to fall on the marketing side or the product side. I don't know, like there's not like, they kind of sit between marketing and product, and as the focus goes to enterprise, like they're going to get less attention. And so I think that's the hardest thing. Now we could talk about like training, like I'm happy to go anywhere there, but like the next thing I would say is like educating the marketing team on what it means to sell into what does it mean to go from driving a conversion on the credit card to assisting a salesperson with pipeline and helping them drive the deal. Like that's a huge change. If you're like a marketing leader and you've had full control over this experience and you're driving revenue for the company, and all of a sudden there are sales reps now that close the deal, that's like a huge change for people who aren't familiar with, who don't understand like what it means to rely on a sales team and rely on enablement to close deals, right? I think it feels like like if you've never I think it's hard for a lot of marketing folks who may feel that that's like, I wouldn't say like subservience to sales, but like deep partnership with the sales team and reliance. You know, like as a PMM, it's you know, in the enterprise context for PMMs, like our job is to drive pipeline for sales. That's our job. If you're not generating pipeline for sales, then what are you doing? Like, you know, if the company's goal is to close enterprise revenue, right? Like, I don't know, but I think like there's a lot there, but at least that from my perspective, like that's kind of why I think it's so hard. And that's a big answer.
Yeah, I resonate with what you said about the people piece, because in PLG we focus on scale. So we use a lot of the more B2C go-to-market motion as a growth oriented marketer. Like I know when I look for PLG growth team, it's really about their volume driving activities. So the channels are very different and the mindset is very different. They do massive experiments so that we can drive volume, versus a sales-led enterprise motion. It's very much about targeting. Like targeting the right people, personalize the experience, as high quality of a, you know, higher win rate as possible. And you could be driving 100 leads, but if 50% of them actually convert into pipeline, and you're doing a great job. So like the measurement is different, and the channels are also very different, right? It's like the scale of it is very different. So like I think in that motion, you almost need to hire team with different skill sets in order to fulfill that new reality.
And like, you know, think about the distraction. I like think about like if you're selling an enterprise solution, you need customer success, you need support, you need to fill the product gaps. Like it's distracting. It's not just like it's not just a go-to-market evolution, right? It's a whole company evolution. That's hard. Right? It's a whole company evolution, right? And it's very distracting for go-to-market as well, right? Like yeah.
Yeah, I have worked with PLG companies going on market, and I've also worked with sales-led companies wanting to do PLG. I would say the concern for cannibalization is a real one. So on one hand, PLG limits the deal size for enterprise, or there could be missing opportunities, and that's why you want to do sales led. But once like a sales team also is concerned about missing the leads, and then they want to control all the leads, and they don't want PLG to touch the folks that comes in. So there's just like this who controls what piece that we need to establish the rule of engagement so that we know sending the right people to the right teams.
You know what's funny here? I'll like here's something that I think at least I didn't really. It surprised me when I thought about it a little bit, and it might be helpful for folks. Okay, like if a director signs up for your PLG product, if they show up, let's say not sign up, let's say like a director appears on your website for a PLG product, or VP. Let's just be aggressive and say a VP shows up on your site. Do you want them to sign up for your product, or do you want them to talk to sales? And if you look at these PLG companies, everything they do was to drive a sign up. Every single, make the button huge, like every growth tactic to drive a 0.0001% conversion rate, A/B test on a sign up link. If you send that VP into your PLG product, which probably has like average active onboarding, honestly, probably because you've been scrambling so hard to build the product, that is a horrible experience for a VP. Like, and like you explain, like you cannot send this person here. I would, if a VP at Coca-Cola shows up on the site and says, I'm interested, I want that person talking to our best AE and our best SE. You know, I don't want them to go in the product. If they go in the product, they're gonna look around and be like, this thing sucks. then they're gonna leave, right? So think about that for a moment, right? I don't know. I think that's I think that's like a yeah, something to think about, because there are many situations where the thing that you've lived by, this beautiful product, which has been the North Star of the founder and the whole company, all of a sudden does not matter when someone comes in, because it actually can be worse for them. I don't know, just something to, it's not true for everything, but something worthy to consider if you are thinking about an evolution.